What's up, Guru Nation? Let's demystify clinical research. Guru Nation, thank you so much for coming back. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, share. Maybe this is your first time. If that's the case, it's an honor. Look, the whole point of this video, how to break into clinical research, the ultimate guide for beginners. It's a shame that the majority of people in this industry get in on accident, myself included. And I feel like if I can do just a little bit to contribute to somebody purposefully getting into this industry, I'm going to try to give you the most practical way to go about it. So this is probably information you're not going to hear anywhere else, because all the other places, and this is, by the way, coming from a guy who owns multiple online academies to help people get in. So we have the CRA Academy, we have the CRC Academy, we have the University of Clinical Research for medical writing and for data management and for clinical trial assistant. Those are good. Those are good if you want to actually put your money to use somewhere, and we try to keep them low cost. Links are underneath. But the work to get there needs to be unconventional, in my opinion. And it needs to start at the local level, the site level. Now, yes, you can break into this industry by working at a CRO. You can break into this industry by working at a sponsor. Sometimes the educational requirements vary, but the majority of people ignore the small research sites, mainly because they've never heard of them, so why would they ever think to apply there? That's the first mistake people make when they try to break in, is they ignore the actual companies that are more likely to give them their first shot, which are the small research clinics in your area that you never heard of. I own one, Yuma Clinical Trials. I know what I'm talking about because I've hired people that have done this stuff, right? So find the small sites in your area. They're going to say, well, how do you find it, Dan? Google. You Google, you go on LinkedIn, you connect with the owners of these companies, with the site directors. Again, smaller is better. Don't go for the big brand names. Don't go for University of Southern California. Like, yes, you maybe could get entry-level jobs there. I know they hire, but I hope to express in this video that there's even better opportunities at the smaller sites that can lead you to bigger and better things on your career path. So the first thing, small is the new big, small community clinics. The next thing people don't do is, rather than networking, they click buttons. They just sit back at home, click buttons on ZipRecruiter or on LinkedIn, job applications. They just click buttons. They have one resume for every job, which they're not qualified for, and they just click, and then they get upset when they don't hear back. Second mistake right there. Don't apply. Forget about applying. Only apply when you've been invited by somebody to apply. So how do you get invited by somebody to apply? Networking. And this is where Google and LinkedIn are going to be your best friends. So Google, you're going to identify these small research sites in your area. LinkedIn, you're going to identify the people who work at these sites, who own these sites, who manage these sites, or other study coordinators. So the goal for you is to eventually become a study coordinator, because from a study coordinator, it'll open you up to various career opportunities within about 1 to 3 years. This process takes a lot longer at the larger institutions. So how I mentioned University of Southern California earlier, I'm not singling them out. Every academic medical center, this is basically going to be the same outcome. If you somehow get lucky enough to get your start at one of these institutions, you're not going to advance as quickly in this industry. And yes, I know there's exceptions. People are going to put in the comments, no, that's not entirely true. For the most part, it's a generality, but it's the theme that I've seen since 2005. I've watched people, myself, I was a job seeker at one point too. I've watched people through my academies go the small site route, And then I've watched people in my academies go the academic medical center routes or the larger companies. Generally, the larger the company, the more streamlined they are, the less likely they need somebody just off of potential. But at a small research clinic, they often can only afford somebody with potential. Now, you are going to take very low paying jobs when you start out in this industry. It doesn't matter. I'm going to repeat that again. It does not matter. Something magical happens after the 1 year mark. Okay. Obviously, everyone has a number. Everyone needs a monthly number of income that they're comfortable with in order to live life. So if you gotta get side hustles, or if you have someone else in your family supporting you or in your household, it's better. But generally, the more money you're seeking up front, the harder it is for you to get started off the right way, which is, I think, at the site level. Now, you may be overqualified, you may be underqualified. It really doesn't matter. There's really no such thing at the small site level. What matters at the small site level is what you're willing to accept initially for your income. So again, be prepared. You're going to start out low, but here's where the magic happens. After around month 3, if that site feels like you're a valuable member of the site and you're actually adding value for them, which I'm going to get into exactly how you're going to do that, they're going to want to keep you. At that point, they're not going to want to lose you, because at this point, you're no longer research naive. You have a few months of experience. It's enough for maybe a competitor of theirs to hire you and give them a small increase in pay to, to win you over. You can do that if the company you're working with doesn't want to work with you. But they probably will if they see value in you. So they're going to start giving you promotions, increases in pay. I know, because I literally do this on a quarterly basis with my own site. I have 3 employees right now. They've all usually every 3 months, and then every 6 months, and then every year they get increases in their pay, in bonuses, various incentives. I'm in a unique situation where I can provide them opportunities like side gigs for the ones that are appropriate. So I have different levers and different tools as a site owner that I need to utilize in order to retain my staff that I want to keep. So this is the same thing for every site. Again, you're not going to hear this from anywhere else except on this channel. So like, subscribe, comment, share. Now, let's take a step back. When you approach these sites, you need to do your homework on them. So you need to study their website. You have to understand what kind of trials they do. You have to figure out, maybe through LinkedIn or communicating with people, where you can fit in. Okay. And I'm going to tell you, if you want a shortcut, there's only a few things sites need help with that every single site I know that's at a small level needs help with. And that's patient recruitment, that's community outreach, which are kind of one and the same, but they're 2 separate things. Social media, clinician recruitment in the community, and they need help getting studies. So those are the kind of the external things, more of the marketing type of things they need. So I'm talking about passing out flyers in the communities, at community events, maybe swap meets, maybe fairs, maybe parking lots, just passing out flyers for the site. They need help with that. Another thing they might need help with is getting social media presence. So running an Instagram, running a Facebook, and you got to do your due diligence and say, okay, I notice you guys don't have an Instagram. I'd be happy to set one up and manage one for you. In exchange, I just want to build up my expertise in this space. So I'd love to be able to be a clinical research assistant and just help out your coordinators, anything they need help with, whether it's buying dry ice, passing out flyers, running these social media accounts for you guys, whatever it is that you actually feel you can contribute. You don't need to do all these things, right? But passing out flyers is something anyone can do. Raising awareness in the community is something anyone can do. Managing, on at least on a superficial level, social media profiles of the site is something anyone can do. The next thing something anyone can do is business development for those sites. So going on clinicaltrials.gov and looking up opportunities for getting studies. I have entire videos on how to do this. Going on clinicaltrials.gov, looking at what new studies are coming out, so active, not yet recruiting as the status on clinicaltrials.gov, pairing those with the therapeutic expertise that that site that you're approaching has, and telling them, hey, I can pinpoint studies for you. I can just do this, a few times, a couple hours a week, and I'll even do it for free. In exchange, I just want some volunteer experience on my resume. I almost guarantee you, if you come approach them with this mentality that you're willing to give something first, they're going to want to hire you. They're going to want to hire you. I've had success stories of people I've interviewed and other people I just talked to off camera about them utilizing these strategies, and they got offered the job during the interview. And again, they didn't get there by applying. They got there by networking with these key decision makers at these smaller clinics, setting up a meeting with them, or sometimes just walking in and saying, hey, here's my resume. Here, I notice you guys do these kind of studies. I made some flyers, just generic flyers for your site. I'm happy to pass these out in the community for you guys. I really want to get started. I really want to get my career set up in clinical research. So those are the ways to approach the sites. Don't apply. Network and approach, and immediately offer something tangible, something of value. And those are some things that just about anyone can do. There's also things you can do in the clinic once you're there, like maybe you're an international medical graduate, maybe you have some kind of science background and you can help on something related to the actual studies. Maybe you can communicate with community physicians better. Maybe you can draw blood. Maybe you're a phlebotomist. Maybe you can centrifuge the lab samples, and you're IATA certified. By the way, you could get IATA certified for free. IATA. You can get IATA certification for free, and you can get good clinical practice certification for free. It would definitely help, as a side note, to have both of those things, you certified on both of those things before you approach the sites, in order to get some experience on your resume, which really means for you getting hired. If you try this approach at 10 clinics in your area and you're not too pushy, but you can demonstrate that you have immediate value to give and that you're just raw potential, you're going to get a job offer from one of those 10. We're in a good economy right now as far as clinical research is concerned, but this will even work in a bad economy. I don't know any site owner that doesn't want immediate help and immediate ROI from a potential candidate. What we don't want as site owners are people who think just because they have this degree or just because they used to do this in their other industries that we should love to have them volunteer because, hey, you don't have to pay me anything and I have this background, and it would make no sense if you didn't want to have me in your site volunteering for free. And I would counter to that as a site owner with, yes, I would. If you don't have the right attitude, if you're entitled, and if I don't see how you can immediately give me a ROI, I still potentially look at you as a liability and as more work for me to do and as more babysitting, and not to mention the more complex things like messing up my chemistry at my small site. Remember, I have a small site. So I have 3 other employees that I have to retain right now. If I bring you in, it could potentially throw that chemistry off. So there's a lot that you, as the job seeker, may not be considering, and I'm here to help you with that. Now, one of the tools I use is lately has been ChatGPT. And if you look at the screen right now, I'll just have a quick screenshot of me going through ChatGPT. I found one of the studies that from clinicaltrials.gov. So I just pulled up a random study on obesity on clinicaltrials.gov. I'm not doing the study. And clinicaltrials.gov will show the inclusion exclusion criteria for that study. So all I did was copy and paste some of those inclusion exclusion criteria into ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT, hey, make a very simple but catchy recruitment flyer so that I can get more patients interested in this study. It will literally give you what it thinks is an appropriate content for that flyer. You put it on a flyer, you throw on some graphics on there, you approach the site and say, hey, I've made this for you. I know you're doing this study because I saw it on clinicaltrials.gov that you're doing this study. I made these flyers for you. I can do this for all your studies. I can also do a bunch of other things. I mean, I don't know any site owner that's going to say no, at least to volunteer experience, because you're providing immediate ROI. You can even take it a step further and say, I'm going to take it on social media and do this kind of stuff. So that's how you get in. Now, once you're in, this is why I love the small site level. Once you're in, it's going to take you about 3 to 6 months to get the fundamentals down, really a year to get the fundamentals down. But now at the end of this 6 to 12 months, you are highly desired. You have research experience. Even more so, you have research experience at a small site level, which makes you more of a generalist than a specialist. The bigger the organizations are that you work for, the more of a specialist they're going to make you. So they're going to make you be more streamlined. Like you're just doing EDC systems, or you're just doing blood draws. One of my employees came from an academic medical center. She basically just did like phone calls and blood draws and processing labs. Well, she did that for a year, didn't like it. There was a bad culture there, and so she applied for my job. She actually didn't apply. She networked with me on LinkedIn, messaged me, and some other key members of my staff, and then we invited her to do an interview because we were short staffed. We didn't invite her right away. It took her about 3 months of following up, but she came in. She's hired now. She's been with us for 6 months. Within this 6 months, she's done exponentially way more tasks and responsibilities than she's ever done at the academic medical center. So 6 to 12 more months of this. She's highly desired generalist. Now it's going to be my job as the site owner to retain her. So that's incentives, promotions, side gigs, anything I can do. So don't worry about what that site's going to make you do. Again, if they're small enough of a site, you're going to be doing, if they see value in you, you're going to be doing more and more tasks, and you're going to be having more and more responsibilities as the weeks turn into months and the months turn into years. And then you're a highly marketable, experienced clinical research professional that can go in any direction. The CRC, especially at the small site level, which is clinical research coordinator, is like the grand central station for jobs in clinical research. And you're going to start interacting with CRAs. CRAs, people outside of research love this job, clinical research associate. It's a stable role. It's highly paid. They get to travel a lot. It is stressful, but it's a highly desired position. It's never an entry level position. So, how do you get to CRA? You get to CRA through either CRC and then CRC directly to CRA, or CRC to in-house CRA at a CRO, or CRC to startup specialist at a CRO, or CRA from CRC to trial master file specialist or study startup specialist. There's so many roles. You need to just go on indeed.com and just search clinical research just to see the diversity of roles that are out there that you've never even heard of. Most people have just heard clinical research coordinator, clinical research associate. So don't worry about what job they give you at that small site. And again, if that site is not good, within 3 to 6 months, you have enough experience to go out and apply to another site. And by this time, you probably won't have to volunteer because you do have some experience. They're probably going to bring you on. But it doesn't matter the role, it matters the career pathways that are possible for you afterwards. So that's the case there. The money will come, the money catches up to you quickly. The reason the money is so slow initially is because there's a big learning curve in clinical research, and employers don't want to pay you to learn. They want to pay you to do. And they don't hire too much off of potential. They hire off of what can you do for me tomorrow. Smaller research sites, they have less money at their disposal, so they have to make up for it by looking for potential. And maybe they found a diamond in the rough. I found 3 diamonds in the rough at my site, Yuma Clinical Trials. Now it's my job to keep them there, and then I can keep retaining and attracting new talent. So, lots of possible career outcomes from clinical research, starting out at the small site level, working your way up to the CRO, to the sponsor level, or even the vendor level. So those are, now we're getting to the possibilities of careers in clinical research. You have the sites that we discussed. We have the CROs, which are kind of in between the sponsors and the sites. The CROs hire CRAs, they hire in-house CRAs. You're going to start learning all this stuff once you're at the site level and you're working. You're just going to figure this stuff out. Then there's the sponsor level, who are usually the biotech or the drug companies or the medical device companies that are actually paying for the studies. And yes, they have their own staff. They have CRAs. They have clinical trial managers. The salaries jump exponentially the longer you stay in this space. Eventually, everyone gets to a ceiling. And then if you're comfortable at that ceiling as far as your earning potential, stay there. If you're not, guess what? Always opportunities to expand your skill set, learn more, and keep leveling up. There's really no limit to what you can earn in this space. And compared to other industries, it's relatively safe. So instead of trying to go from zero experience to something ambitious at a sponsor level just because you're a pharmacist or a doctor from another country doesn't mean they're going to hire you right off the bat to start doing those things. You have to start out small, and you got to take a slice of humble pie maybe, because when you go work at a small site, let's say you're an international medical graduate, so you're a physician from another country in the United States, you might be working side by side with medical assistants that are doing your job. Some of them might even be in charge of you. They might be senior CRCs and you might be a junior CRC at the site. So what? All right? At some point, educational backgrounds matter, but at the small site level and even up until CRO, it doesn't. But your career can expand quicker and at a faster rate than someone with lesser education than you. So, initially, it's going to be tough if you're overqualified. If you're underqualified, meaning you don't even have a high school degree. I know people without high school diplomas that own sites now. And they started out working at a site, picking up the phones, pre-screening patients, recruiting. Then they became coordinators. Then they became site directors. Then somebody at that site said, "Hey, do you want to be a partner? I'm running out of funds. I can't find investors. It's costing me a lot to keep you. Can I make you a partner?" And then you get to share the profits with me. So there's so many opportunities, whether you're highly educated or very little education, and don't fall for the trap of certifications. Okay, and this is coming from somebody who owns CRA Academy, CRC Academy, links below. We're working on getting accredited. We have certificates for you, but the real value we offer is this real internship on real studies that you can do after you take our courses. We have real industry studies that you can get internship with, that we help with your CV. So all this video that I just made up until this point that you would have to do on your own, we do for you for a very low price as part of our academy. If you don't want to join those courses, that's fine. If you do, links below. If you don't want to, you know what you have to do. I just gave you the blueprint for it. And hopefully a little bit of motivation, and hopefully a little bit of a reality check, and hopefully a little overview on the lay of the land as it comes to this industry. So don't fall for accreditations. Don't pay for any accreditations. Later on in your career, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, there are a few reputable ones like SOCRA and ACRP. Initially, they don't even want to certify you because you don't have any experience. They don't want to certify you. Anyone that wants to certify you, probably just a certificate mill, which is what my academies are absolutely not. We offer real internship experience. Last thing, this decade, I just mentioned artificial intelligence, ChatGPT. Technology is becoming a huge part of this industry. So I mentioned the sites, the CROs, and the sponsors. There's also a fourth employer that's going to continue to gain importance in our industry, and those are the tech vendors, the technology vendors like my sponsor, Viva, like another sponsor, Versatrial, like another sponsor, Creo, like another sponsor, MedVector. There's tons of these kind of tech companies in this space. They all want, guess one thing they all want? People with site experience. So if you gain enough site level experience, doesn't hurt if you get some CRO and sponsor level experience to become more of a generalist and a well-rounded person. These tech vendors are going to love to hire you. And that gives you a little different taste of the industry. There's a lot of variety in this space as well. So it's not just stable, it's not just good income, but it's also exciting. There's variety. And at the end of the day, we're helping patients. So I just interviewed somebody who's a founder of a tech company in this space. He's making a better search engine for patients to find studies in their community. It's called Power. You can find the interview I did with the CEO on my channel. He was inspired to do this because a friend of his in her 20s had a tumor in her brain. She had the hardest time finding a study in her area using clinicaltrials.gov. She finally did by essentially cold calling a bunch of physicians until one of them said, "Yeah, I have a study, let's do it." She's alive today because of clinical trials. So, after all the stuff I just said about why this industry is so good, you also have a huge why leading you. We all have this North Star guiding our careers, and it's improving patient outcomes. And guess what? At the end of the day, we're all patients. So hopefully you found this video helpful, realistic, pragmatic. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, share. Talk to you soon. Bye bye.